Hey everyone, welcome to the Daily for Friday, March 11th. I'm Greg Lawless with Simon Borg here. We are 4 days away from first kick, Simon, and the pressure is already starting to build for the Seattle Sounders ahead of their meeting with the LA Galaxy.
A few weeks ago, we heard it from Ziggy Schmidt, the Seattle Sounders manager. Now we're beginning to hear it from the players. Brad Evans, midfielder for Seattle, says this is a make-or-break season. If not, the changes will be coming in. And Steve Zakuani talking very much about the pressure of this year and how it's a young team, but they need to learn to live with it and manage it through the season.
I like to hear players saying that, Simon, because for me, it's like if you have that pressure on you, the best players can deal with that pressure and still succeed.
Yeah, and they realized that last year in that playoff series against Los Angeles, that's probably the edge that LA had. They knew how to deal with the pressure-packed environment of the postseason, and Seattle didn't.
Well, the Sounders have a pretty good core that's coming back this year. Most of the players from 2010 will be with them in 2011. That's not the case up in Toronto, where Toronto FC have gone through some massive changes. About a week ago, Adrian Cann, the defender, walked away from camp. Looks like he's about to return.
Yeah, there's been discussions between Toronto FC and Adrian Cann about coming to an agreement on a contract situation. He's coming back to Toronto just in time for their game on Saturday in the Carolina Challenge Cup to wrap up their participation in the Carolina Challenge Cup. It's their last preseason game. Look, he's one of the key players on this team because he's one of the veterans, along with Dwayne De Rosario and Julian de Guzman. And they need to rely on them, especially since they're going young this year.
You almost felt like Aaron Winter was really banking on Cann being the stability in the back for them. They are taking on DC United in the Carolina Challenge Cup, as you said, Simon. That game will actually be streamed on both of the club's sites as well. And speaking of action over the weekend, we're going to start with a couple of games. We're going to start with Colorado, Vancouver. And I mean, a lot going on with Vancouver right now.
Yeah, this is going to be a dry run for Empire Field. It's a closed-door scrimmage between Vancouver and Colorado, and it's going to be the first look at the new DP for Vancouver, Eric Hassli, the forward, who was presented just yesterday.
Well, a lot of anticipation of what Hassli can bring for them. We also learned that they kind of stumbled on him as a player to pick up when they were scouting, and they just sort of saw this player and said, hey, he might fit us really well. Other action over the weekend, San Jose and Portland, and John Spencer liking what he sees out of his Timber side.
Yeah, that first game in the Cascadia Summit that Portland defeated Seattle 2-0, that lineup will be the same lineup he goes with against San Jose. We can see John Spencer already has his starting 11 in his mind.
And speaking of Portland, the guys on the road trip to First Kick presented by Adidas are in Portland right now. They've got some interesting stuff coming up with the Timbers Army and also meeting some of the players, so make sure you check out that on MLSsoccer.com. Now, the action still is going over the weekend. The Atlanta Pro Soccer Challenge, New England taking on Houston.
And New England, they want to see that they can do a better job at keeping possession. The players have spoken about the fact that in their most recent game against Columbus, a 3-1 loss, they couldn't do the job. And that's their main focus this year. Keep possession, try to generate some attack, take some pressure off yourself, and they couldn't do it.
But I think the question, Simon, is do they have the players to do that?
They hope they do. I think when adding the skill and technique of those French players, Didier Drogba and Ousmane Dabo, yep. I think they believe they have the personnel to do it. It's just it's not showing yet.
It's sort of a different look for the Revolution this year as opposed to the way it's all been running through Showery Joseph the last couple of years. Well, if you missed Extra Time Radio yesterday, you can catch the podcast on iTunes and Buzzsprout. We had Freddie Adu calling in from Turkey, where he just scored a goal for his club, Rizespor, and Grant Wall from Sports Illustrated. He also joined us. Also, today at 2 p.m. here on MLSsoccer.com, we will be streaming live the Commissioner's teleconference ahead of the season. He'll be answering a bunch of questions from the journalists about what's going to happen in 2011. There's a lot going on. First Kick is on Tuesday on ESPN, Seattle and LA. We'll talk to you next week.